There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy July. I hope everyone's doing well and is enjoying your summer and the heat. Everyone's like, no, not enjoying the heat.
Not yet, not yet.
Well, I am Brooke Dickhart. I'm the Executive Director of the Joel Fund, and we are super excited for this conversation this month for the Vmfa meeting, veteran housing. It's a huge topic, one that we could probably talk about every month, but we have so many other things to discuss, so we can't do that. So having it twice a year is good, but I know this meeting always is very informative. So I would like us to start off with going around and introducing ourselves. I just did, and so I'm gonna pass it off to my left here.
Hi, everyone. I'm LaMonica Coleman with Women Veteran Support Services. I'm the community liaison. We work through 7 counties currently, but we work with any homeless female veteran or male veteran with children throughout the state.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Braswell. I work for the Joel Fund.
I'm Brenda Brubaker. I'm here as a representative of Vietnam Veterans of America.
I'm Dale Robbins with Holden.
And I'm Martin Woodward representing Veterans Life Center, where we are a residential program serving or providing services to both men and women who are 21st century vets.
Thank you. Anthony?
I'm Anthony. Are we good now? I'm Anthony Horton from Veteran Services of the Carolinas, currently working as a peer support specialist. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Hey, good morning, everyone, or afternoon. I'm Jennifer Melton with Veteran Services of the Carolinas. I work as an education specialist under the new VA Staff Sergeant Fox Suicide Prevention Grant. So I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person with you guys, and I might have to pop off a little early. I have to travel today, but I appreciate y'all being here and letting me be.
Thank you. Troy?
Perfect. Everybody can hear me okay? All right. It's Troy Hershberger. I'm with the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. And the work that we do in various programs in one form or another reaches all 100 counties.
Thank you. Matt?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Matt DeVivo, Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor, and there's 3 of us across the state. And I'm really interested in this topic because we have that relocation assistance and helping veterans find housing. And I got to get smarter on this. So this is great. Thanks, Brooke and everybody.
Thank you. Randy? Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted.
There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Randy Silver. I'm with NC Works with Johnston County. I provide employment resources for the veterans of Johnston County. Pleasure to be here this afternoon.
And Randy, it's so awesome to see you.
I know, right? I'm out of the office, so you're able to see me today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Ashley?
Hi, I'm Ashley Wheeler with Wake Tech Community College, and I work specifically with all of our veteran and military connected students who are looking for resources such as housing.
Thank you. Kristen?
Hi, good afternoon. Apologies for not having my camera on. I'm working from home today and my internet decided to go out. So I'm on my hotspot on my government phone. So I apologize. But I'm Kristen Darr. I'm the grant per diem liaison at the Durham VA and the homeless program. So kind of what that means, I don't know if anyone's familiar about Maple Court or TROSA. I am the social worker who is the liaison between that grantee and the VA. So I work with making sure the veterans have that transitional housing option. I'm sitting in for my supervisor.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Lisa. Can she?
Good afternoon.
There we go.
I'm here. I was here to support and listen to my son Anthony. I am actually a supplier diversity specialist with Clancy and Thays Construction.
Awesome. Thank you. I was going to ask if there was any relation to Anthony.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here.
Rose, do we have anybody?
Thank you.
There's a lot of people who reached out to me
No.
via email. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, got it. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Let me just make sure. And I know Paige is on there, but she still says connecting to audio. So if she gets connected, I'll have her jump in. So I am, Kristen and Troy, I am going to put you both on the spot a little bit, if you don't mind, because of the work that you do. And anyone else really who would like to jump in, but we had one of our panelists not be able to join us at the last minute. So what I'd like to start off with first is I'll go through and call on our panelists, and I'd like our panelists to explain your role within the organization that you work with and give us an idea of what your organization does within the housing, the veteran housing space. So we're going to start first with Martin, if you don't mind.
Okay. Martin, Veterans Life Center, what we strive to do, we've been open now for a little bit over 2 years. And what we strive to do is to provide a combination of either care coordination or direct services. What we provide directly would be, of course, housing. Individuals who come into our program, which the requirements are an individual would need to have either an honorable or general under honorable conditions discharge, a desire to address if it's an issue, their behavioral health, their physical health, learn life skills, and then also to self-select a career that they can either go to a local community college in Granville County or online, or sign up and enroll and participate in an apprenticeship program. And the reason why we do that is because of the fact of what we had noticed was that there's a trend where if a veteran needs, sometimes the belief of all a veteran needs is one thing: they need to be housed or they need employment. And the fact is, it's much more complex than that. And so we see looking and addressing it from a foundational issue, as is to say, to address the aforementioned behavioral, physical health, and life skills. And then from there, having the individual self-select who they want to become, support them to go there or to get there, and the length of stay. It all depends on what they select. For example, we have some individuals that want to get their commercial driver's license or CDL. And so they would be there probably for no more than 6 months. We have another individual who recently got accepted into the radiography program. That's a 2-year program. We have another individual that wants to be a nurse, and so she's taking the initial courses, and she'll definitely be there for 2 years. So it's individualized. It is free. There's no charge. Well, there is a charge, and the charge is sweat equity. We want individuals to come in that truly want to live their best life, and the way to do it is if you address those foundational issues and you are working towards achieving something that is going to make you proud every time people ask you what you do, then we consider that to be a success. So that's who we are. That's what we do. We're located in Butner, North Carolina. We also provide transportation. We also provide 3 meals a day. Every resident has their single room with a key and a badge. And it's just one of those things where our founder, John Turner, he wanted to create something that was a little different, but also is very high on the respect level for veterans to achieve their best life.
I love it. Thank you. Anthony, will you take a few minutes to talk to us about your role within Veteran Services of the Carolinas?
Absolutely. So currently I'm working as a peer support specialist at VSC. Basically a lot of what I'm doing is going into the woods and helping find those unsheltered vets, helping them get back on their feet in whatever capacity that means, whether it's helping them navigate resources through employment, clothes, transportation, things like that. But it goes a little deeper than that because a little bit of my background, I come from a behavioral health background in the military. I was a medic, then I switched over to behavioral health. So using that, we look for those observable qualities or co-occurring illnesses and disorders in those vets that we find, whether it be depression, PTSD, any co-occurring mental illness or substance abuse disorder that we see in those vets that are observable, we try and get those hammered down, get those situated, and just basically help them be a shoulder for them to lean on, because some of these guys that I've dealt with are in the woods 10, 12, 15 years sometimes. So they're used to doing things a certain way. So that's a big part of what I do.
Wow, thank you. Troy, I'm going to ask you the same question if you don't mind. Tell us a little bit about your role in the organization that you work with.
Absolutely. So I guess my official title is Community and Veteran Outreach Liaison for the Housing Finance Agency. The short version, the flyover of what that is and means is I work within our governmental liaison group. There are 3 of us, and my job is to try to put a face on the work that we do so that when a community or an elected official at the local, state, or federal level hear the words housing that's affordable or any variation of that, they have an accurate picture of what that means today, whether it's for their community, their constituents, and so forth. We have a wide range of different programs that we administer through local partners all across the state in order to try to make that happen. Our main goal is to assist North Carolinians and be able to provide safe, affordable housing, which is what they deserve. So some of those programs range everything from solutions to homelessness all the way up to homebuyer mortgages. And the things in between are items like home repair programs, helping people age in place, and different things of that nature. So while some things are very specific, they can only attend to certain matters or to certain groups. We are able to help veterans and their families in a very particular way. For example, with our first-time homebuyer programs, that being a first-time homebuyer is waived, so they have access to our program should they need it. Now, should they decide to go another route, like with a VA loan or conventional 30 or anything, that's okay. We're not offended. Whatever it is that works best for the folks in North Carolina, veteran or civilian, it does not matter to us. We just want to be here and be a resource if we can. That being said, again, I want to strengthen the point of all of our work is done through local partners. So whether that is a local contractor that is out doing the work, or that is a VSO that is putting somebody with our programs, that is the key to the work that we're able to do. We're very proud of all those partnerships. But if you guys have any questions, you can always chat me up here, or if it's a lengthy one, you can hit me up off of this meeting so we don't take up everyone else's time too.
Thanks, Troy. Kristen, do you mind speaking on behalf of the VA and talking about your role within the homeless program?
Yeah, sure. So my role is kind of a small part. So the homeless program is a very big integrative team at the VA. So I am just one little small part of that. So like I said, I'm the grant per diem liaison. So what that means is grantees in the community, if they are interested in creating a transitional housing program where the veterans would be housed, we would provide them with an opportunity to apply for a grant. And they could do that. So like I said, the 2 we have right now are Maple Court, which is in Durham, and Trosa, which is also in Durham. So Maple Court will actually be transitioning. So they will be coming to an end. They did not reapply for their grant. So if anyone knows anyone or has anyone interested, we did get funding for the new fiscal year, which is in October, to make up for that loss in transitional housing. We're going to open it up to see if anyone would like to apply. So if anyone is interested, you can get with me. I can get your email, and once that opens up, I can shoot an email to whoever's interested. So that's kind of what I do. But overall, the homeless program in whole, the biggest part is probably HUD-VASH, which I'm sure quite a few of you guys have heard of. So that is the majority of our team, the largest component. And so what that is, basically we have veterans who come in. We have a walk-in clinic that the veterans can walk in at any time to see a social worker. The only time we don't have it is Tuesday mornings because we're slammed with meetings on Tuesday mornings, but every other morning and afternoon, there is a social worker there. So the veteran can walk in and get screened for all of our services, which one of them is HUD-VASH. So once they are approved for HUD-VASH, we have a Teams approach where we help them fill out the application. We help them find housing. We work with community partners to get their deposits paid, to get furniture, all of those things. And then we have a case manager that stays with the veteran to make sure, you know, once they are housed, because that's the number one goal, that we're helping them attain other goals that they have, that we create on their treatment plan, whether it be to get employment, because we have an employment specialist. If they have some legal involvement, we have veteran justice outreach social workers who help with legal involvement on our team. All different kinds of things, whatever their goals may be, we have people on our team that will assist with that. So that's just kind of a small general overview. I could keep going and going and going because we have so many different things at the VA, but that's just a little overview.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.
Bria, if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself and your role within VOA and how you all help serve veterans?
Hey y'all, I'm Bria. I am the program director interim for Maple Court, as well as the GPD team lead for GPD case management. So as far as GPD case management is a 6-month case management program where we work with veterans who are at risk of being homeless. So that means they are struggling financially with like bills or rental assistance, or they also need to find new permanent housing because of, you know, their lease is up, the landlord doesn't want to renew the lease, or just for environmental reasons or safety concerns. And then Maple Court is the transitional housing where veterans who are homeless can apply to move into the transitional housing. However, that program will be ending very soon and moving into permanent supportive housing.
Thanks, Bria.
You're welcome.
So I think most of you on our panel have kind of talked about who you mainly work with, but I just want to ask this question again, because I think it's important that we all are on the same page and understanding. Do you only serve veterans, or will you also work with family members or people in the Guard or the reserves? So who would like to go first? Anthony, I see you nodding, so I'm going to put you on first.
Put me on the spot a little bit. So we do have some programs within VSC that do civilians as well, such as a program which I'm on, which is PATH, projects to transitional housing. The PATH program basically serves both vets and civilians. Those contacts, those navigating the things, but mostly we do serve veterans. It can extend to their family members, as those are part of the veterans' life circle. For myself, speaking for myself,
Thank you. Who else would like to go next to answer that question?
Sure. Veterans Life Center, we serve veterans, but we also will work and serve those that are Guard or Reserve. We have had individuals that are active Guard or Reserve to reside on our campus. In terms of family, while a family cannot stay on our campus, we do work with families in terms of addressing a lot of issues that may come up that are causing distress either for them or for the residents that we serve. And that could be what it could look like is everything from providing, I don't want to call it counseling, providing guidance to the family members, their children, coming up with linking them to services if and when necessary. But the main thing is to resolve those issues that are causing strife within the family system.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else want to add on to that?
Brooke, do you want me to chime in or no?
Please, yes.
Sure. The simple way to remember our stuff is we program has guidelines and criteria in a very general sense of the terms of using that, but it does not matter to us whether you're active duty, veteran, family of, civilian. If you're within the North Carolina borders and you either are a homeowner or renter or whatever it is, just be within the borders of the state. And if our program with the guidelines are sufficient to meet your needs, we want to be there for you.
Thank you. Okay. If anyone else, I think Bria and Kristen, I think it's pretty clear. So my next question is, what's the protocol for someone to access your services? Because I know that, I mean, every organization has a different, for us with our Operation Furnish program, we only take referrals from a case manager. So I know each group does something different, but please, if you don't mind, let us know what your protocol is so that we can do it right when we want to refer a veteran or a service member to your services. Martin?
Okay, we strive to make it easy. On our website, we have an online pre-screening application. It's very self-explanatory, check boxes that either someone interested could complete, someone who wants to make a referral could complete, or someone who's representing that individual in terms of a service provider who is thinking that this might be a good fit. The other thing is all anybody has to do is just to give me a call, 919. I'll give my cell phone, 919-231-3331. It's my personal cell. And what I can do is I can walk through the scenario in terms of who you're thinking about referring, if it would be a good referral or not. We strive to make the turnaround time effortless, painless, and fast. What that looks like, if you were to call me, say, for example, today, I would want to talk to you first to learn more about the referral, because we don't like to waste people's time. That's the veteran's time as well as the service provider's time. And so I would normally get in contact with that individual whom you were referring the same day, do the initial pre-screen the same day, make a recommendation if they should go to the final pre-screen, which happens usually the next morning. If it is not a good fit, then what I normally strive to do is to provide referral sources that individuals could use to see if someone else could meet their needs. But we like to make it effortless and painless.
Thank you. Bria? What's the process to referring someone to your services?
So any organization can do a referral, or they can go through the VA. They can also call my number, which is 919-444-0248. And they can just call and just explain their situation. And even if we are unable to help, we can, refer them to somebody else.
Okay, so if you're full and someone is homeless, do you help put people in hotels or help with another type of solution if they can't stay at like Maple Court?
So for GPD case management, we only work with veterans who are at risk of homelessness, not veterans who are literally homeless. And then as far as Maple Court, we'll just refer them to maybe like SSVF, and they would, further proceed.
You just bring up an amazing point. It was one change in the wording, at risk versus homeless. And for organizations who don't work in this space on a daily basis, it is so hard to understand and to figure that out, and because I know every organization has a different definition of what is homeless. If you're couch surfing, that's not homeless to some organizations. So it's just so confusing. How do we break that down for our partners to truly understand how to, help that veteran so they know? I mean, is it just best to pick up the phone and call one of you and say, hey, this veteran, she's living on her sister's couch, but she doesn't really have a place to go. How can we help house her? Okay, does that classify as being homeless? How do we figure that out? It's so
So-
hard to see who's behind that.
Yes, no, I definitely understand. So we go by HUD's definition. So you can look on the website, and they break down like the different categories of homelessness. And yes, they can be couch surfing and they will not literally be homeless. So like literally homeless is sleeping outside or sleeping in a car, somewhere that's not meant for habitation. But if they, according to HUD, is, couch surfing, they technically have somewhere to stay and they're at risk of homeless and not literally homeless. But you can also just call me or any of one of us, like coordinated entry, that's in Durham. And they can, further explain or, point you to the right direction.
Great, thank you.
Kind of to piggyback off Bria, so the VA too, I had mentioned it briefly. So we do have a walk-in clinic. So if you still have a veteran and you're confused, I would really urge you guys to send the veteran to our walk-in clinic. Like I said, it is Monday through Friday. The morning 7:30 a.m. and the afternoon shift is 1:30 to 4. The only time we don't have it is Tuesday mornings, but every other morning it's the 9 to 11:30. They can also call, like if they don't have a way to get up to the VA, and that number is 919-286-0411, and the extension to the homeless program itself is 177065.
I'm going to ask.
I would say,
oh, go ahead, Kristen. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, if the veteran can present in person, I would say that is better, because a lot of times when they call, the MSA may not be answering the phone. So they'll leave a voicemail and then they'll put it in our walk-in chat and we'll see it and we'll try to call them back, and then the veteran won't answer. And then it's this game of phone tag, and then the veteran gets frustrated. And so I would just say, if they can present in person, to come in person, because we're going to be there and we're going to prioritize the people who are in person before we make the phone calls anyways. So just kind of a note for veterans if you are referring them to the VA.
Thank you. And yeah, Jennifer put also in there with NC Serves, a lot of their care coordination people will be able to also provide the information. So thank you. And if you guys don't mind, our panelists, if you will please put your contact information in the chat and any of the phone numbers, because we will do a follow-up email that we send out to everyone. So please add that into the chat, and I will make sure that it gets all shared, just in case someone didn't write down a phone number fast enough or that sort of thing. Did anyone else want to add into that original question, which was, what was the protocol for a veteran getting access to your services? I want to make sure that everyone had a chance to answer that question.
Oh, I had one. Sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, me?
Yeah,
Okay. I had one other thing. So we also do have a homeless call center too, that the veteran can call. That's it. I just wanted to add that. Sorry. Go ahead, Troy.
Sorry, Kristen, that's good information. I was just gonna throw out there, putting it in the chat at the moment. So depending on what it is that is the housing related need for the veteran, you can find very short, brief overviews of each of our programs. And because I mentioned we work with partners throughout the state, you can search by where they're at. So for example, if it's a tree fell on their property and put a hole in their roof, we have the urgent repair program that's specifically designed in order to assist folks that have an issue that's either going to make them move or kill them if it's not addressed. So you can, instead of calling me and saying, hey, this, that, the other, you can skip me, which I won't be offended by. And you can go right to our website. You look in the county that they're in, and you'll see what partner we have that has applied for funding for this cycle. Our funding for this particular program goes towards sticks and bricks. And then they usually have cobbled together other funding sources or other resources in general to fill the rest of the gaps. But you can see the partner directly, reach out to them, which is what you would end up having to do, or however it is they'd like to do it. And the phone number I put in there is our front desk. So if you're looking through the website, you're like, I just don't know which one to go through, you can call. They'll route you to me if you need. I know just enough about our programs to be dangerous with the information. And if I can't answer your question, I have wonderful colleagues that can help give a deeper dive on what it is or what's going on with an application for assistance or whatever it is.
Awesome, thank you. Did anyone else want to respond to that question before I move on to the next one?
And so, and Troy, what's your phone number, website?
So the website is in the chat there, but it is www.nchfa, Nancy, Charlie, Henry, Frank, Adam.com. And then the front desk line is 919-877-5700. And I'll put my email and phone number in the chat as well, if you need to reach me directly.
Thank you.
Of course.
So one question that I like to ask each month during these meetings is, how can the partners in this room or online, how can we help with housing veterans? I mean, you've told us how we can contact you and that sort of thing, but when we're working with our veterans, what can we do? Like, what gaps or struggles can we help identify before we refer them to you? How can we be a better partner in this space? Who's gonna go first?
I would say at the VA, one of the things that we really struggle with for almost like all our referrals is veterans having their supporting documentation. And by what I mean by that, so their ID, some type of ID, whether it's a driver's license, state ID, we can get the VA ID, obviously at the VA, Social Security card, birth certificate, DD-214, proof of income, whether that be VA, well, we can get VA award letters, but like Social Security award letters, their bank statements, those are always a really big barrier. And a lot of times the veterans can't get them on their own, or they struggle with it. They have no transportation to go get them. So I would say that is in every single referral that we do generally needs that information, especially HUD VASH. The housing authorities are very, very strict with documentation. So that would be a big one. Like if they had all their supporting documents and they just came in, they were like, boom, here you go. That would make things so much easier, because a lot of the times it's tracking down all the documents, which then delays the services and care.
Okay, thank you for that.
My only suggestion would be, and oftentimes there's really nothing that any of us in this circle right here and beyond can do it about, but don't wait or sit on folks and trying to put together the best possible presentation that you can give them to say, this is, you know, your top 3. Shotgun out to everybody that you think that you might need to touch. And I say that because housing in general in all of America, let alone North Carolina, the need is oversubscribed. We can't build enough to assist everybody, and we don't have the resources to do that. We don't have the resources to fund those resources. So the sooner you can get somebody in the door, even if they don't have all of their paperwork, they don't have everything, if you can just get them onto the wait list for whatever it is, if there is one, then that would be my suggestion, to start there, because you can always pull someone off a wait list because they don't need it anymore, rather than wait an extra day and there's another 100 people in front of them.
Good.
I would say, because, and we had a conversation about this before we began the meeting, there are a lot of resources out there for veterans. No matter how long we've been in this space working, we'll never, as individuals, know all of them. And they do change periodically. And so for me, it would be, the idea is, let's work the list that we're going to get from this meeting, so that if you don't know the answer, you call somebody, because there's a wealth of resource that are participating on this call, because things are always changing. Some programs end, but then others start. And if we don't know, we could be missing an opportunity to get a vet to a resource that could change their life.
Definitely. Anthony or Bria, anything you want to add? And then, oh yeah, Randy, we'll come back to your question too.
Real quick, I would just add something, kind of a little bit what Troy said. Us in this space, we don't have the capacity to do this, but foundationally, communication with these vets is important and is essential. And a lot of the vets that I'm coming into contact with, they struggle with communication, whether it be being able to contact me, being able to contact for resources, and just being in a space to know what those resources are. So if we could do a better job of getting that, just blasting that information out there some way and being proactive. I know for us at VSC, we've recently started to implement the ACP program, which is Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a government program that basically gives a homeless vet, if they receive a certain amount of benefits, a free phone or a tablet. That way we can stay in contact with them. No charge to them. The phone stays on forever, or the tablet stays on forever. No cellular, no bills, stuff like that. That's just one small thing that we could help with that communication.
And Anthony, do you have information on that program that you could either put in the chat or email to me and I'll send out?
Absolutely. I'll send it over to you.
Thank you. Bria, anything you want to add?
I would also say getting them connected with other services like for income, because we have a lot of veterans that come to us with no income, and it's kind of hard to get somebody housed, with zero income. So, getting them connected with NC Works, or if it's like, credit issues that their credit is like a very different things like that, that would definitely help with trying to get them housed.
That's great.
I had to walk away for a second, so if this is already spoken, I apologize for the repetition, but I do think it's important. All of us are siloed into what we're doing, even though this is all overarching into housing. But a group like NC Serves, that I'm sure many of us are already connected to, instead of us going individually to each other, we can still do all that, but you can also plug them into a group like that, or the 360, because they're already set up to shotgun everything out and have it come back to them with a response of yes, we could help, or no, we couldn't, and keep the ball rolling. The old version of having that resource, that magazine resource guide, and saying, here you go, Mr. or Mrs. Veteran, and call everybody you need, and remember to follow up and do all the program's already set up. And I know most of you are well aware of it, so I don't want to harp too much on it, but that would be amazing to get them connected to that while we're doing all our individual stuff together.
Yeah. And can I say something about that, Brooke?
Please.
Just to add on to what Troy's saying, even when there isn't housing resources, NC Serves and NC Care 360 platform is designed to collect data, right? And that's how we drive dollars into these programs. So a lot of counties that don't have affordable housing, or that don't have public transportation, a lot of this issue is there isn't data to show that the needs are there. And so when that data starts getting collected, even when it isn't resolved using the NC Serve system, that's how we start then telling the government, yes, we need funding for this. One example is Carteret County has never had a HUD VASH. They do not get HUD VASH vouchers for veterans. And that is because there's no data that shows that there's a single homeless veteran in that county. And so this year, our team has taken it upon ourselves to start doing pit counts in those counties that don't have that data, so that we can start driving funding for our housing program for veterans in those counties, right? But that data has to come through. It comes through that NC Serve system because it's real-time data. It's not like regular federal data that's, 2 years old before we get it. So I'm a big fan of the NC Serve system. I worked in it for a long time. I'm not in it anymore, but the data that's provided is invaluable for housing specifically. So thank you. That's just my little plug.
Thank you.
It was a good plug.
What other questions do we have from the group? Please, it's, for you too. So don't let me ask all the questions.
Not really a question. If anybody is right now sitting on an individual or a family that has a specific housing need I can't promise you that we're set up to address it, but I also can't tell you, no, we're not set up to address it without you letting me know. So please send me an email, give me the brief, 2-sentence flyover. Here's what they're trying to do. And if I can't help you, then maybe one of the colleagues in or out of this room, I can try to point you towards, and we can get that resolved.
LaMonica.
I'm LaMonica with Women Veteran Support Services. We work with women veterans who are facing crisis, either through domestic violence or any type of homelessness issue, threat of being homeless or being homeless. A lot of the population that we're dealing with are women veterans between the ages, you can go all the way down to just serving age 20, all the way up to 70, who are grandmothers who are taking care of their grandkids or who are taking care of adult children who have mental health issues, you name it. And the biggest barrier we have is people who are having issues with either credit or they can't come up with deposits. So thank you, Kristen, Darr, for the GPD program, and thank you, Volunteers of America. And I know Passage Home isn't here, but we work with the folks there almost on a daily basis. What we really need more of is community help, because a lot of times we will go out and we can send someone and they will go through the intakes. There's several intakes at VA, not just one intake, there's several. They'll do an intake with the VA, then there's another intake with either Passage Homes or Volunteers of America. So they will maybe be identified for HUD badge. Well, what happens after that? In particular, there's a family who they have a voucher, but because the mom is not working, there's adult children and then younger children. So, and a grandchild. The deposit is huge. It's a big deposit, but we feel like having that family housed and all together is better. And we've been scratching and surviving, keeping them in the hotel right now, but this is their last week. We have a house, but there isn't a deposit. And we're working as hard as we can, but these are real life situations that are going on in the community. And it's not just one family. We have dozens of families, and single female veterans are the hardest ones to house right now. Male veterans I think, I was told it probably could take 2 weeks to get a single male veteran housed, but single female veterans, it's difficult. And we have families who have disability issues, needing wheelchair ramps, those kind of issues. Those places are hard to find right now if it's just a single individual going into a space. So whatever you all run across, or send me the listing. I work it myself. We've just got to find housing for these women because they have served also.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Kristen.
So,
No, go ahead.
you said they had a voucher, the family you were talking about, do they have a HUD voucher or a Section 8 voucher?
I believe it's the HUD badge voucher that she has. She's working with Miss Stewart in your office.
Oh, she is. Okay, well,
Yes.
okay. So there is something, so the deposit, do you know off the top of your head how much it is?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it like large? Like how large is large?
I'll send you an email.
Okay, yeah, I have a resource in mind. If the family has a HUD VASH voucher, there is another resource that we use for deposits other than SSVF. So it's now, and I'll send it over to you. They'll also pay the first month rent. So I will send that over, and if anyone else is interested, I can send it. It's only for HUD VASH veterans though, HUD VASH voucher.
Right, I'm great. This will be great. Okay.
Thanks, that's fantastic.
I have a question for Kristen. I have a question. You had said, if I heard correctly, you had said that the grant for Maple Court it didn't get renewed?
Correct, they didn't reapply.
Okay, and so will those apartments turn back into apartments for anybody, or will they still be?
They're going to be for HUD VASH veterans. So what the plan is, so the veterans that were there for transitional, a majority of them, I'm getting them all vouchers at this moment. We're in the process of getting them head bash vouchers. They will be staying there. Right now, I believe there's 18 staying out of the 24 beds. The rest I'm getting housed elsewhere. So that will open up 6 beds come the new fiscal year for head bash veterans.
Okay. Jennifer put something in the chat that might be helpful for you.
Yeah.
Transformation Village. in action?
Yes. We work with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bria, anything to add on the Maple Court? And I mean, are there even any openings? Is it full right now?
Oh, go ahead, Bria, if you want to go.
We have 2 openings as of
Okay.
But we cut admissions off.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
What's that one?
Admissions at Maple Court.
Maple Court.
And I wanted to just back up for a second because Randy had asked a question about what services are available for male veterans who do not have dependents. And Randy, I just wanted to clarify, are you speaking about homeless veterans?
Yes, let me give you a little background. With my job with helping veterans with employment, they come to me looking for employment, but through general talking and assessments, I found out that they are homeless. Well, they be couch surfing or sleeping in a hotel with working for the hotel and to subsidize for their room, that kind of thing. But I'm realizing that there are not a lot of services available for male veterans who doesn't have dependents.
I wanted to say that in response to what you had mentioned about how easier it seemed for single male veterans to be housed as opposed to female veterans being housed. Because my experience as a DVOP once upon a time working with homeless veterans, that was a long time ago. But still, the experience was there seemed to be more resources for the female veterans, housing resources for the female veterans, especially if they had children, as opposed to a single male veteran. And it sounds like what the gentleman is suggesting is kind of, it sounds like that's still a thing, So that's a good question. How do we minimize that barrier?
Mm-hmm. And just how do we, let me think about how to phrase this question. How do we make it so that it doesn't seem that someone has 2 different responses to that? How do we get to be knowledgeable on, okay, what is it that a female veteran, because even my take has always been that it's been harder to house the female veterans,
Okay.
but that's my perception just based on my experience. So how do we eliminate those perceptions? What do we do as a group to make sure that we all understand what the services are and what is the fastest point of housing for whether it's a female with children or a male without children, or whatever the category is, what is the best way, the quickest way, the safest way to get them housed and off the street? I don't have the answers to that, but that's for the next meeting. Personally, I have a question for AJ. I want to know, how do you know about these veterans in the woods, and what is your process for how you do this? I mean, I've never met someone who actually does that, so I'm kind of in awe.
So with the outreach that we do, it's very nuanced to a point, because you have those places that we see where you can, every time you see a shopping cart on the side of the road or a dirt path kind of brushed down too far, it's been walked on a couple times. Those are signs that I've been trained to look for. And it just goes to show that our vets, they know how to survive in the woods. They know how to do these things to where they can escape or they can evade. And it's important to understand that you're going into their space, whether it be a camp in the woods or on the side of the road, that's still their space. So I got into it right after getting out the military. It came kind of natural to me. It's as simple as walking into the woods. You get those little signs, those little breadcrumbs, and most of the 9 times out of 10, you're gonna find somebody tucked off back in the woods somewhere. And you just want to make yourself as personable and respectable in their space as you can. And it's rewarding. I love doing it. I got Jen out there to come in the woods a couple of days ago with me, so she can tell you a little bit about it too. So go ahead, Jen, tell them about it.
Well, it's one of my favorite things to do now. It's not easy work, right? Because you're really out hunting for people, looking for people who, like, a lot of the time don't want to be found, right? Or they've been chronically homeless and they just have a complete distrust for anyone coming into their campsites. Our team is pretty unique in the way that VSC is unique in the way that we utilize our peer supports. Most organizations, there's a lot of organizations utilizing peer supports now, which we love because they are invaluable, right? They're a great resource. Being able to connect with people on a real level is amazing. But VSC, we really send our guys, and most organizations have an office where people kind of come into them or they get referred in for peer support. Our teams literally just go through the woods and in the bad parts of town and under the bridges, just seeking out unhoused individuals, whether they are civilians or veterans, and we connect them through resources through the NC Service Program, and that's been wonderful. We do have a couple of different outreach programs. Of course, Anthony is in the PATH program, which is the DHHS program, and then we have the HOPE program, which is veteran specific, and that's also a DHHS program. And then our whole team, we just, we pull people off of all of our programs to send out. We do these big blanket pit counts. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of those. They're point in time counts. They're literally homeless persons counts. That's how we figure out how many vouchers and things need to go into each county. And but it's really rewarding. It's tough. Sometimes our guys, I have so much appreciation. We say our peer support specialists are the tip of the spear at VSD, because without them, a lot of our programs would not be as successful as they are, because they're doing the hard work of going and finding our clients, right? And I know some of them put years of effort into building trust with these clients just to let them help them, right? Because one of our big mottos is to meet a person where they're at. Just because I find you in a tent in the woods and you've been there for a decade does not mean that you want me to get you housing. Even though I might think that's your best, what you need, that might not be what you need, right? And so, and we have just learned over the years that if you push people too far and too fast, what happens is then we set them up for failure, and that just re-traumatizes a person. And that is the last thing that we want to do, right? You really want to help people where they are. So I think it's amazing what we do, and I appreciate Anthony so much. We're up here in Raleigh, and so we went to some not so nice places last week, and but he's makes such they're just able to make such connections with people, and having that veteran to veteran connection as well, that is very helpful in this space. Because he can connect to a veteran in a way I cannot as a civilian, right? So that's super important. But yeah, Anthony and I went out in the heat and got rid of a lot of water and some snacks, and some Narcan and some other things that were definitely needed in those places. So
I have a question. It's kind of along the lines of, helping those that don't want to be helped, right? So you're going out into a homeless camp and you're engaging someone, trying to get them housed, and they don't want to be housed. What services would you offer them?
So we asked them, what can I do for you? Right? Okay, you're not ready for housing yet. Okay, not a big deal. I'm not going to push that on you, because if we start pushing too hard, then what happens is we push them away, right? And that's what we don't want to do. So we just say, what can we help you with? What do you need right now that I can help you get, right? Is it food? Is it clothing? Is it a job? Is it school? Is it benefits? right? Our VSOs are our #1 referral people, right? That's who we go to first because they need benefits for veterans. And sometimes it's a building block, right? So it might just be, I know there's clients that we're still working with that I've been with VSC for 3 years, and it took over 2 years for them to agree to allow us to start helping with housing. But that just took constantly showing up and proving to those people that we were going to be there regardless, and that there really wasn't anything they could do to like make us go away either. We're kind of a pain in their side, a thorn in their side a little bit. And even if that just means that we just show up and bring water and food boxes. Sometimes it's that simple, but we keep showing up. And then eventually, most of the time, and like I said, some clients have been over 2 years before they're like, you know what, I'm ready. I need to get out of this situation. Can you help me with that? Right. And then we just move forward from there. But we've had clients where we've pushed them too fast. VSD has been around for a while. And in the beginning, when we have SSVF out in the West, from Charlotte West, and there were clients that we pushed too fast to get into housing, and they were not ready for housing, and we set them up for failure, right? And they ended up back on the streets. And all we can do as an organization is learn from those mistakes and then try to not do that again, right? So now we really let the client drive where we're going. Right. And then we just keep showing up until eventually they give in and they let us help them.
Yeah, I don't want to sound overly cynical.
Yeah.
Because I do consider myself to be a veterans advocate on a very, very high level.
Sure.
You know, but it's occurred to me, you know, if someone doesn't want to be helped, you know, we have all these initiatives to like end homelessness in the county, or end homelessness in the city of Raleigh, end homelessness in North Carolina. You know, like, how do you end homelessness when some have made the business decision, even though their executive faculties probably aren't maximized, but they still make the business decision for where they are? How do you end homelessness when they don't want to be helped? And, you know, I understand that most of it has to deals with mental health and a resistance to, you know, whatever their deal is, right? A resistance to help for services, a resistance to society. You know, maybe they're upset with themselves, and I understand at the root of that is a mental health issue. But still, it sometimes seems like those that do the work want the help for the clients more than the clients want it for themselves in some instances. And it sometimes it comes across as being a little self-serving when that veteran living out under the stars is fine. You know, maybe everybody else is not fine with it, but that veteran, where he or she is at that particular time, is fine with it. So I've always kind of struggled with that dichotomy. You know, when I see a homeless veteran, you know, I'll do one or two things. And I don't do this as often as I used to, reach in my wallet and give them some money, you know, because I understand that I could be enabling them a little bit. And I feel like if I give them the second option, which is my business card, I can probably help them a whole lot more, you know, with benefits and resources that's on the table. So, you know, I just struggle with that sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I think what you're saying is all valid points. There are people, of course, that we can't help, right? That some people do make the decision to not want assistance. But I just learned this term the other day. It's called dignity of risk. And it's allowing people the control to make decisions on their own, even though we know that it's going to be a negative outcome for them, right? And that's just the reality of the clients that we work with, unfortunately. I will give props to, I don't know that we'll ever end homelessness, but I can tell you in the veteran space, I'll give a lot of props to programs like the things that the VA is implementing, right? Like HUD-VASH and SSVF, and also with this new Staff Sergeant Fox grant, we are approaching the mental health aspect of it. In North Carolina alone, the veteran homelessness has decreased by 24% since 2020. It went down 15% in just a year, just from last year's numbers, right? So we know that there is a decline in this state. I'm not sure about the whole country, right? Because I don't, that's just not my forte to keep up with all of them, just North Carolina. But I can say that the VA's efforts are making an impact. I'm not sure how you battle those decreases compared to the increase of housing costs, because that's above my pay grade, honestly. But I can say we have seen a decrease in homelessness in North Carolina on an average of about 15% per year due to VA initiatives. So that gives me a little hope. But yeah, I think it's a big battle fighting, right?
Right.
Brenda?
So I'm a representative of Vietnam Veterans of America, and I would like to make everyone involved here today aware of a resource that is going untapped in North Carolina. Vietnam Veterans of America have a grant for homeless veterans. It was a donation made by an individual in her will, so it's very specific about how you qualify. The person must go through their VA homeless program to apply for it. The person must be a Vietnam veteran, as in boots on the ground, Vietnam veteran. So their DD 214 must show that they were somehow in, but it does include the water veterans from Vietnam. And you must be able to produce a bill. You know, do they need that bill to get into the housing? Do they need that electric bill paid? Do they need to purchase a bed because they've got an apartment? So we have had very few applications for that grant, and most of the individuals didn't qualify because they weren't Vietnam veterans.
Has this gotten out for all the American Legions and the VFWs?
That's a good question.
Probably not, because it's specific to Vietnam Veterans of America.
Okay. So maximum, is there a cap on how much they pay out?
It's more of a cap on what they'll pay for.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I'm gonna stop because I'll just start asking questions. It'll be better if she sent me some information.
Yeah,
to see
that-
how I can help.
Do you have the information? Because like my next question is, okay, who in the VA homeless program do we call? Like who's that person?
I don't know. I just have constantly been barraged by, why don't we have applications? Why aren't there people applying for this?
Kristen, do you know anything about this?
By chance, is like the name of it, is it something like Semper Pi?
No.
No,
No, then no, we have not heard about this.
okay.
So
I'll
let's
take care of that.
Let's change that.
I will get
Yeah,
some
I was
information
like,
for you.
I know almost all the resources pretty well, so that would be really helpful. I know that we did get something sent out to us recently. Let me look in it was Semper Fi and America's funds. That's not you, right?
Nope.
No, it's VVA.
Okay. Then no, we do not know about that. So that would be very helpful because the Vietnam vets are actually a majority of what we are serving and seeing now. So if you could send me like an email and I could easily spread this to our team, or if you wanted to like come to one of our staff meetings and speak to the homeless program, I'm sure I could speak with my supervisor about that. Whatever may be easier, because trust me, if they know about the resource, my team's gonna come knocking, trust me. So yeah, that's probably why you haven't been receiving referrals, because pretty sure we don't know about it.
Does anyone else have a question or an announcement for the group or our panelists?
I have another question.
Yes.
Is there anyone here that knows anything about House Bill 594 and how it impacts housing or the ability to get housing in North Carolina. I know it made it past the House and is now in the Senate, sitting in the Rules Committee for the past 2 months.
HB 594.
Yeah.
What's it about? Was it?
It's my understanding that to get a home loan, like a GI Bill or something like that, that if you are disabled, you now first apply for the loan and then you apply for the disability waiver for taxes, which may make you ineligible for home for that particular loan or to buy that house. And so what they're looking at doing is having the veteran be able to qualify to have their tax information available first and qualify them as a disabled veteran for tax relief before they apply for their loan, which would decrease the application time by 6 to 8 months or something like that. So I'm not an expert on it. I just know I've attended a couple of committee meetings where they were there, and I thought that would be good information for people to have about housing.
So you're saying this legislation is going to decrease the wait time for, well, you know, and it's going to decrease the wait time for veterans to acquire a home.
And it may make them eligible for
Tax benefits.
Yeah, well, and for more, because your loan is based on your income, it means that less money will be going to pay for the taxes, so there'll be more money available for the house. So that's my understanding. I was hoping somebody would know more about it.
I'm waiting for you to share the next golden nugget, so I can. Very educational.
And if you want to find the homeless veterans, do the count every year. Every year they go out. I live in the county Durham that doesn't have any homeless people according to the federal government or whatever.
I was at that.
But if you go with and partner up with one of the police officers and do that count in January or February, you get to know where all the homeless camps are and you get to know people.
I've volunteered for several years, and what they do is, since I live in Durham, I go to Chapel Hill, and I've done it in Wake County, and I've never done it in Durham. So, but I know where they are because I've done it, and it is interesting because they pick the coldest night, and it is the coldest night.
It's always.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the coldest night.
Well, this has been a great conversation, and I know we went over, so I apologize, but it's hard to find a place to stop when we're talking about veteran housing. So I want to just reiterate how much I appreciate our panelists being here, Martin, Anthony, Bria, Troy, and Kristen. I appreciate your time and your willingness to answer our questions and to really just help us understand how we can be better partners in this work. So thank you so much. And our next meeting is going to be August 8th. And our topic is veteran education. And I'm going to give everyone a small challenge. When we think about veteran education, we usually think about college or trade school, but education is such a broad topic. So if you have an idea on some panelists, please send them to me. Think outside the box and let me know what you come up with. So I could use your help on this one. We've done higher education each time, so I'd like to think about it a little differently and see what you guys can come up with. Help me out.
You got it.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.
Thank you.
Excuse me.